I will say the chase game stops as soon as you stop. So if you are chasing the dog or
Yeah,
gets out and you're playing the game and the dog's having a lot of fun, you're not having a lot of fun, and then you turn around and you're like, "I'm done. I'm going home," and then you start walking home. Normally, a lot of times the dogs
the
will follow you
follow.
home.
Yeah.
So I'd say that'd probably be it. I'd maybe walk outside, call the dog a few times, then just say, "All right, I'm done," and then go close the door, and then not close the door, but like walk home and
Well,
say, "Come
yeah,
on."
pretend you're going home.
Yeah. What else was
Yeah.
in that question?
I think chasing them just reinforces that behavior though, doesn't it? Because it's like
It is fun for the
it's a
dog.
game.
They have
It's
a good
like, "Woo,
time. They have a
look
heck
at
of a
me,
time. Yeah.
chasey."
Yeah, they have a
Yeah,
heck of a time doing that, so, yeah, I don't yeah, they do have a good time, so it is
yeah,
tough. It is tough to say, so
yeah. But prevention is better than cure.
that is true. Yeah, that is true. But this is one of those things I will say in the meantime too, if there's a real risk of the dog getting out, I mean, he's a Yorkie, so he's a small fella, but you could get an air tag for his collar so that way you can at least track him down,
Yeah,
if he does get out or something, or get one
yeah.
of those Fi collars or something. Yeah, get a air tag or a Fi collar or something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would definitely wanna try to get it on this quick just because this is a big thing, if your dog
Yeah,
runs away from you, golly, that's not fun.
yeah.
Chasing a dog, like, people always ask me, like, when I meet people or whatnot, like, "Oh, training dogs must be so fun." And they talk about it, whatever, and, like, some people will be like, "Now what's your least favorite part about training dogs?" And it's always chasing dogs.
Mhm.
Always. Literally the least
Yeah,
favorite thing.
yeah. And it really depends as well where you live. If you're, like, on a main road, my heart would be in my mouth if that little one's out and
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Because if they see something, they're just gonna dart after it.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I've got plenty of stories from over the years.
Hmm, another time.
Another time.
Okay, here we go.
Question 3.
This happens a lot, and it's funny, but it's not funny.
Question 3.
My dog listens to my husband and does what he says. No raised voice. She doesn't listen to me at all. Why do you think she does this?
Hmm.
A lot of people do say,
This is super common.
be it right or wrong, that dogs do really respond better to men because of the deep voice. Is there anything in that, do you think, or is it just, you know,
I don't
an
know. Maybe it's
opinion?
the voice, maybe it's just the sternness, less willing to play games, less willing to be pushed over maybe than like a woman, so to speak. But like the
Mhm.
lady who I was just talking about, whose dog I met this morning, she said it was the opposite. Like her dog listens to her, not any of the kids, not the husband, anything like that. So every now and then we do see the opposite
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I'd say overall it could just be the sternness, less willing to play games, deeper
Mhm.
voice, not, holding the line maybe more or something like that. In terms of why, though, I mean, I would say number 1, it sounds like the dog respects your husband a bit more than he or
Mhm.
she, I guess she more than she respects you. Could be maybe your husband's been a bit more consistent, about training and
Yeah.
standards and stuff like that and actually
Yeah.
working with a dog than you have.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's not transferring over. Could be your husband spends a bunch more time with the dog, and so the dog has just a much better relationship with your
Yeah.
husband as well.
Yeah.
Those would be stuff that I would think of off the top of my head as to why
Mhm.
or whatnot. The question's not really asking for the solution, but the solution in my mind would be basically those 3 things. Like, 1, I'd start spending more time with the dog, walking the dog, training the dog, feeding the dog, doing all this stuff, right? Next one, what I was gonna say, and I do feel like it should be its own specific point, is like actually working with the dog, training the dog and stuff like
Mhm.
that, right? So I think you should spend some time like actually, yeah, working with the dog and training the dog
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
teaching the dog what to do, what not to do, running through obedience drills and routines and stuff, getting onto the dog when the dog goes wrong. And then the third thing was gonna be once we do that, then hold on to the rules, manners, things like that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
don't let the dog play games with you.
This question came from a lady that we are actually doing a transformation session with
Oh, great.
because she wants to have more of a, positive relationship with the dog, so
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too. I mean,
Mhm.
dogs unfortunately do cause lots of fights between couples and stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, like I mean, it's just a true thing, like one person wants to get a dog, the other doesn't, whatever it is. And sometimes it'll be that one person wants to get a dog, the other person doesn't, and then the person who didn't want the dog actually ends up
I
the dog loving the
I was gonna
dog.
say that.
Um,
They're in for it then. They're like, "Yep."
yeah, I mean, because this is kind of sweet, but Mia's last day, I don't know if you were at the house by this point or not, but on Mia's last day, Paige asked my dad, both of my parents, she said, "Who's your favorite?" Out of all the dogs or whatnot. And both of my parents pointed to Mia and it was like, "She's our favorite." And it's just sweet though, because like my mom has always loved Mia, always been
Mhm.
on Team Mia. Even when they kicked her out of the house, my mom was always on Team Mia. My dad was not so much, however, though. And like, and they ended up having like just such a great bond, together where they were like two peas in a pod. But my dad did not want Mia, did not want her at the house, did not want to be, around her at first.
Mhm.
And then, dogs just have this way of getting under all those walls that we put up as humans. Dogs have a
Yeah,
way of digging
they
right under
knocked
them,
them
where
down
they
brick
do.
by
Yeah, yeah.
brick. She was so excited. They had names though? What did you call them? Was it not it's not like grandpa. What did you call dad when he'd come over and collect her and say,
Oh,
"Oh,
Grandonnies.
Grandonnies, and she'd be like, "Oh, where's Grandonnies?"
Yep.
So cute.
Grandonnies and grandmamas.
They
But anyways, all that being said, dogs do cause a lot of fights in relationships, unfortunately,
Yeah.
though, where it's like, where one person wants to get a dog, the other person doesn't, the dog, like, and the person who wanted to get the dog, advocating for the dog, but the dog's peeing and pooping all over the place and stuff. And so
Mhm.
it can cause problems. So I definitely say
Yeah,
this is something I'd want to get addressed with
yeah.
soon enough.
And dogs are really smart. They know who to go to get what they want. They see weakness.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah. Whenever we used to
See
eat dinner as a
weakness.
family, Mia, every now and then she'd come up to me if I was eating and I'd give her a bite and tell her to go lay down and she'd, leave me alone.
Mhm.
But, or even if I didn't give her a bite and I told her to go away, she would go away. But my mom, I mean, she would sit right next to my mom every meal because she knew
Mm.
my mom was going to be feeding her off the plate. She just knew. Like, my mom is definitely the weakest link with the dogs, but also the caretaker and the food maker and feeder and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But also the weakest link, too,
Yeah, they're
100%.
smart.
And I
So
will say,
smart.
similar to this question, my dog, used to listen to me and my dad way better than she ever listened to my mom.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I know. Because Sully listens far better to him than he does me.
no comment.
Yeah. Even if he's on the telephone, he doesn't